Dan Olds here. This is another episode of the 2025 Winter Classic Invitational Student Cluster Competition Studio Update Show, or it could be a very, very long acronym. Got Henry Newman sitting in the second seat co-piloting this. How you doing, Henry?
I'm doing well, Dan. You?
Eh, okay, I've got just an awful lot of stuff going, but this is a big one.
This is huge.
This is groundbreaking, what we're talking about. And we did preview this before a little bit, or at least allude to it. It's the Oak Ridge Quantum Challenge.
Yeah,
And
and having a quantum
ah,
challenge for undergraduate students in this competition is exceptionally uh, interesting to me.
yes. And this is the first time that there's been a real quantum challenge in any student cluster competition ever. And by that, I mean, they've done some quantum simulations and that sort of thing, but this is the first one that not only has students running on traditional stuff, as you can see, I mean, they're going to be doing simulator, emulator, and real. And the real is a real quantum system.
Yeah,
And that's amazing.
and as I've said in the previous, the fact that Oak Ridge took the time and effort to do this, kudos to the Oak Ridge team for doing it,
Yes,
and they should be commended by our industry for doing this for these students.
absolutely. And also IQM for helping to make that happen as well. But yeah, this is a big leap forward. Uh,
And it sets a new bar for other student cluster competitions around the world.
yeah, go figure. Who figured we would do that? Who knows? Like, yeah, but it happened. Um, the other thing that the thing that's neat is that we're also helping them because they've been working on how to extend their quantum access out to teach more and more folks about it. This is the first outward thing they've done.
Impressive.
Yeah, yeah. So let's get into this. First of all, it's not just the quantum system. They're running on something called Odo, which is a 30 node mini me of Frontier. Exact same configuration. And I think most of us have heard of Frontier, number two supercomputer in the world.
Well, let's be clear on the configuration.
Yeah,
The network is exactly the same because it's not as big. You don't have some
yeah,
of the
yeah,
issues.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
But
just
I would say on a 30 node scale
okay.
versus 9,000
You
nodes, I imagine that actually the network on this might be a little sportier.
a little bit, but you know me, Dan. I always like
You've yeah,
the minutia matters.
Panet, that would have been funny if I could have gotten the word out of my mouth that you are pedantic from the root folder for you. From root access, they'll find pedantic is the first thing. So they're running on Frontier. That's their traditional thing. And they have a whole lot. I've actually got a new program. It's the Quantum Access, what are they calling this here? Quantum Computing User Program, the QCUP. And this is allowing them, they're the opening up to users, researchers, students in this case, access to the quantum providers that they have. And this is I believe live now, but it's very new, very cool stuff. And they run the gamut. They've got all the I's and Q's in there with IBM Quantum, IQM, who our students used, Quantinium, and IonQ. So a bunch of different flavors of quantum systems up there as well.
Right. And as we know, we talked about in the pre-show, some systems are better at solving some problems than other systems. It'll be interesting to see what the breakthrough problems are going to be.
Yes,
On,
yes.
I know what systems I should have said.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and that's going to be in the fullness of time question, subject to many debates. I don't, there's not a quantum benchmark out there yet. We don't have, TPC has not churned out any quantum benchmarks, I don't believe. Are they still around? TPC? I don't know. Um, but that's the old Transaction Processing Council.
Yeah, but that's a completely different type of computing that
Oh, yeah,
would
that
not
was
benefit from
enterprisey.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think that at least the TPC that we knew in the 80s, well, 90s, etc., is those are the right people to develop a quantum benchmark because I think they're different problems
Oh, I
that are
go, absolutely. That was a
completely
joke,
outside
Henry.
the. Oh,
And
I
right
think.
next to pedantic, you see humorless. It's fun. I miss this. I miss this. Okay. So, what was the actual problem? It is to, as you'll see on the slide, perform parametric study of HHL on simulators, emulators, and real quantum devices. Pretty cool.
Interesting. Yeah, very,
Very,
no, not really cool, not pretty cool.
yes. Yeah. Yeah. And we're going to jump in just through a little bit of detail from Oak Ridge on the actual model problem that they're trying to solve. It's a flow between two, you know, flat pieces of stuff that are pretty close together. And
And the code is all public, Dan, so
oh
anybody
yeah,
can look
yeah,
at it.
yeah, yeah, run it, do it, report your results to us. Uh, Pretty solid level. I have no idea what those symbols are over on the side. I got a feeling that that's something that didn't translate well from a cut and paste graphic. But anyway, so that is the problem. And here's what it looks like using the quantum solver. To me, not that deep in this to be able to say, oh, that's a good approach. I'm going to assume it probably was.
Well,
Mm,
question is the same approach used for the using the simulation as it is on a real quantum system? I assume it is.
yeah. Well, yeah, and the QLSA does denote quantum. So yeah, this is the approach. And what the actual thing they did was HHL, the Hero Hasidium Lloyd algorithm, which which plays back to that model and figuring it out at different levels of pressure, I believe. Is this all ringing a bell, Henry, from your
No,
CFD days?
no,
No, no,
no. Yeah.
yeah. Last time I did anything in real life for fluid dynamics, I believe was when I was sizing the number of loops I needed in my home sprinkler system because we only had so many gallons per minute coming out of the wall. And I had to have enough pressure going through there. So I had to have
For
the
each,
loops.
for each of the
Yeah.
zones.
I mean,
Yeah.
actually, it's funny. I hadn't done it for my liquid cooled computers because I just went ahead and got two pumps if I was worried about it. Yeah.
So Dan,
Anyway,
what were the results?
well, we are going to get right into them. First of all, uh, here's where the teams were after the last task, which, if you're keeping track at home on a big cork board at home, that was the HPC crash course exam. And Texas Tech, the Red Raiders, almost perfect, damn near perfect. Got pretty close behind the Road Runners. We've got the Channel Islands teams. We've got Santa Cruz. You know, they're all kind of in striking
Ridge.
distance.
Yep, within, less than 40 points, separate them all.
Yeah, yeah, and that's great. That's great. Um, Sue, let's take a look at the first results and starting as we do at the bottom of the board on the Oak Ridge Quantum Challenge. And, like Prairie View is still getting their act together as a team. They've had a lot of changes there. I think the Florida AMU, the Rattlers have two. Gladiators were out there pushing on this, could not get it in, and that's the same thing with Fayetteville. Just this is tough. I mean, this is the first time, really, I think any of these students are seeing this stuff.
Yeah, and it's probably the first time the mentors have done some of this, and it's a challenge for everybody.
Yeah, yeah. So not surprising at all to see that 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 some fell off their skis here. But driving on, we start to see some scores. We've got the Channel Islands Barracudas coming in at what, 10th or ninth, followed closely by Nautical Processing, not so closely. They sort of doubled them.
Right.
Scores are starting to pick up with Fayetteville and the Matadors, who were very close together, 2/10 of a percent. And we really start to see it come up with the Roadrunners, who, by the way, were in number 2 on the big board before this that we just saw, and the Red Raiders, who were in
Yep.
that top number 1 space.
So the winners, Dan, I'm curious at who pulled it off.
The winners are people that haven't seen the podium before.
Nice.
Let's take a look. Look at that. Santa Cruz streaking ahead. And new team, UC Riverside, making a big move as well. And the Lobos, those Lobos that we saw that were in 10th or ninth on the so far in the competition. This is a big move on the most difficult application we've had.
Yep, it is. And the difficult challenge in terms of conceptual knowledge.
Yes. Yeah, this is hard. I mean, quantum's hard to wrap your head around,
Right.
particularly if you've been in the binary world forever, which they
Correct.
have. Um,
So if you and I, Dan.
well, true, very true. But the thing is, this is great, and congratulations to all the teams that turned in, but particularly the top 3 for mixing things up. But we got to wonder, what does it do to the big board? You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go. Okay, there were some changes. Texas Tech is still holding on to their lead, but the Roadrunners have fallen back a little bit because they didn't score as well as Texas Tech, the Red Raiders, did on Quantum. Uh,
Right.
Santa Cruz moved past the Channel Islands teams into third, which is nice. That's a big deal, and that's what
And
Santa
it's
Cruz tends to do.
less than 30 points between them.
Yeah, but they're less than 14 from second. Or no,
Yes.
hell, they're no, excuse me,
They're
they're less than four,
full. No, they're
right? Or
four
a
and
little over
change.
4 and change. That's
Yeah.
a pretty good place to be at this
Yeah.
stage of the competition. Riverside, well, Bronco 1 moved up 1 place, which is good, right? Get into 5th,
Yeah.
still in strike. But look at UC Riverside. They jumped from ninth to 6th.
Good for them.
Yeah, I love to see that on a new team. And what you'll love their interview too. They were just really smart kids. And this shouldn't surprise me because the students on that team were all talking about, well, yeah, I first started programming like, in junior high and, making games and stuff. And then till one of them, maybe the youngest one there, big dogged him and said, well, I made my first game when I was in elementary school. It wasn't that great, but yeah, I'm like, now if you're going to tell me that you did it in assembler, then we're going to talk, and I'm going to go ahead and get you out of school now, and let's just go get you a job. Yeah, yeah, let's go pro now. You don't need this. Yeah, but yeah, we've had some other jumps. Matadors have been holding on to seventh. They slid. Well, no, actually, you're still holding at seventh. It's the Barracudas that slid from fourth to eighth. And it's great that the Lobos nailed down 100 on that, but it only moved them up one slot to ninth. Good.
Yeah, they've got the Linpack number holding them back.
They do. They do. They've got Lin Pack. They got the HPCG number too. Just
Yeah, but
not
yeah, but Linpack,
Lin
you
Pack
know,
was a killer. Lin Pack
yeah,
hurt. But the thing that any of these teams can do now is string together a couple of wins and
yep.
change the entire order of this thing. It's happened before.
Did you get
It
any feedback from Oak Ridge on the students and how, what they
Yes,
thought?
yes, I had the mentor interview yesterday morning, and if you want to learn more about this, that's a great place to do it. That'll be posted just after this is posted, maybe even in the same article. But they were very pleased with the students because, again, this was kind of experimental for them. And it wasn't something they worked on for months and months. It was kind of a not last
Afterthought?
minute, but it was well, we're having a meeting. What can we do this year for this thing? And well, we've been working with quantum. Huh. Is it possible we could put something like that together? Let's try. Yeah. And it they pulled it off really well. The um, educational, the training stuff alone is well worth it. And just to do this is very much worth a resume entry. And they were very happy with what the students did. That
Good.
that they got
Well,
through it and pushed hard for it.
glad to hear that, Dan.
So am I. So am I. So there you go. Next up,
What's
Henry.
next?
What's
What's
next?
next?
What's
Yeah.
next? More stuff. AWS. And it's a different kind of challenge in that they're going to be putting together their own HPC cluster in that AWS cloud.
Do
They're
they
going
have
to
a,
spec it out.
limit? Do they have a limit on the number of nodes, or how does that work, Dan?
Yes, yes, there is. There's a limit that I believe is total number of cores. And
Total number of cores.
it's like 292 or something like that. So it's and then they can have a head node outside of that. So it's a limit of, I believe it's 292 compute cores, which could be
It'll
split
be
up a lot of
interesting.
different ways.
Well, but it's WRF, so you can only have in a weather forecast. Doesn't make sense to have more nodes than you have uh, grid points you're computing.
Yeah.
So um,
Yeah, it's
this will
not
be
it,
interesting.
but the
This will
thing
be
it's not really going to be the number of nodes. It's going to be how you've configured them.
right
And there's
because of the communication.
well, the communication, but also looking at do you want how many cores are right for this? How many are overkill? But like memory, because those are the things that differentiate these their various instances.
Yeah.
So
Well, a
yeah,
WRF is always an interesting problem given it's WRF.
yeah, yeah. And still, I think for the most part, immune to GPUs. I don't know
Uh,
you can get a lot of speed up with accelerators, with GPUs at least, on
I don't
Wharf.
know. I haven't looked at WRF at any rewrites for this year on, to be honest.
Yeah, I know that that there are versions out there. I just don't know that they've been um
Does
that they provide
AWS
a
give you the WRF instance they must use, or can they pull one off the net?
they can oh, you mean the application itself. They could, and actually we just had an office hours session with Evan from their mentor team. He said, you could make changes to the binary that we gave you? Yes. But you want to ask yourself, are you going to be absolutely positive that it will yield the same results as the algorithm that we're, or the application code we have everybody else using?
Right.
So
Because
that's important.
Dan, weather is chaotic.
It is. And changing code is chaotic as well, or can be.
It is a risk reward function that
Yes.
is a good learning experience.
The wrinkle in this that I haven't mentioned yet and should have is that they're not doing this just once, they're doing it twice to simulate a disaster and then disaster recovery.
Ah,
So their systems went live 9 a.m. Pacific on Monday. They die tomorrow, 9 a.m. sharp Pacific. A little bit later, a few minutes later, they start back up, but it's a completely clean new login for each of the student teams, and they got to rebuild that from scratch.
good for AWS, and I assume you're timing this.
Uh, we're timing the rebuild. They get
Yeah.
another 72 hours to run on
Okay.
that,
Okay.
and that's where they can go through the permutations and try different instances, and that's the thing that we were talking about. And the conclusion is that rather than try to handcraft Wharf to get more performance out of it, it's possible, absolutely. You're probably going to see more and better speed up yield from picking the right instance and going through those permutations,
Well,
profiling, understanding what it needs.
we will see. There
And
are all kinds of things. There are all kinds of variables here, none of which I'm going to bring up.
there are. The other thing is that they have a time limit on how fast their science is. Their run has to be at the greatest 4 minutes and 30 seconds. With a bonus, if they can beat Evan's run, which I'll get the exact number for, it was around 3 minutes and 13, 15 seconds. But he's a very well seasoned professional that knows what he's doing. Let's see if
Well,
some of the teams can do it.
and he knows WRF,
He
which is
does.
yeah, and that it's a very important code in the weather community, especially for localized forecasting. And this will be a good, after Roke Ridge, completely different mindset.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, good challenge for him.
Yeah. Well, you know what people should do now, Henry? Right now.
Have a
Right
have
now.
a have a pool and see who wins and put money
Well,
on each team.
that that's something I used to do, and I should do that again. That would be fun. But no, no, no. What they should be doing, Henry, is keeping up with all of this action from the Winter Classic with our official media partner, HPC Wire. Check out our website, check us out on social media, and give us a follow. I mean, really, they've just watched this video. What else are they going to do? They're going to follow up on this wonderful, fantastic feeling. They want more of it, right?
Right.
Okay, good. Well, thank you, Henry. Thank you, students. Thank you, Oak Ridge. And we are just getting started, so stay tuned.
And thank you, sponsors.
Thank you, sponsors. Absolutely. Yeah.